Hey, Internet, Eric here. And as you can see, I am not here alone. It is November 3rd, at least in Illinois. It is really damn cold, but I am here with, in my opinion, one of the hottest rookie wrestlers I've personally seen in a long time. He is the modern man, Kelvin Coco. Kelvin, thank you for taking some time out of your schedule. And this is Sunday. It's a day for rest. You had a show last night, but I appreciate you taking the time out just to shoot it with me for a little bit.
Of course. Thank you for having me. It was a perfect day to do it. I've been chilling all day, been vibing, so I'm ready to, chop it up for sure.
Yeah, I normally start these interviews with my guests, and I say how I came to know them. I've been a big fan of Windy City Pro Wrestling here in Sycamore since they've done their relaunch, and lots of times with Windy City Pro Wrestling, they'll have their regulars, and then they'll just have everybody's WCPW debut. And you debuted last year in December, I
Yeah,
believe it was.
I think it was December 9th. Yeah.
Okay. And it was one of those, hey, this is a new guy. We're going to get to know him type of thing. And then you were at the next show. And then you were at the next show. And I think it was at, where was it? The William Torrance Memorial Tournament is where I got to somewhat know you on a personal level.
Hmm.
Because that's when my daughter, who we all know, if you've been to a WCPW show, you all know my daughter. That's where she's coming out of her bubble and she finally introduced herself to you. And the way you handled yourself with her, for people who don't know, she's 12, that's usually what draws me more to those wrestlers. And after that, there was another card where you hadn't wrestled yet, and you were meeting all the fans, and she wanted to. I want to meet Kelvin Coco because she what drew her to you is the high flying, the colorful outfits and the hair. That's what she always says.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then when she met you, she's like, I want to go meet him. You know what I mean? She's trying to get out of the bubble. You're meeting all the fans. She walks up, shakes your hand. And then you said, what's your favorite match? And I said, it hasn't happened yet because you hadn't had yours. And since then, that little bit of a, promotional and friendship bond has started. And you're now one of her favorite wrestlers. And that's made me stick my eyes on you more. And you've really become such a popular wrestler at WCPW shows. One thing that you're known for, honestly, is I'm not a wrestler, but I'll use the terminology, the pop. I mean, you have one of the biggest reactions, I think, when it comes to the crowd. The kids love you, especially the last show we had. You had one of the biggest, reactions that I've ever personally been a part of. Um, did you ever expect? Because you're in your rookie year. Have you hit 2 years yet?
Nah, my 1 year anniversary was like, I think September 9th or something. So I'm starting, I guess, year two.
Hmm.
So,
Did you expect? From where from your very first match to the last time I saw you in person was in September, I believe. Stacked, yeah, Stacked was in September, in
yeah.
front of over 400 people, and you were one of the most popular wrestlers there. Did you expect like that growth on your little 1 year journey so far,
Um,
this quick?
not really, but I don't know. I guess it's kind of weird because like when I'm in the ring and like in the moment, I'm kind of not like zoned in, and I can
Hmm.
hear everything, but I don't really hear it. So I watch videos. I'm like, wow, that was kind of crazy. Like, I guess they
Hmm.
do like me. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, I'm just, but I mean, that's part of what makes me like wrestling is the fans. Like, I was a fan, and I always gravitated to the people that made the fans feel like they're a part of the show. Because I mean, they are. They pay the
Hmm.
tickets, and it's like the energy is reciprocal. They give us energy, we try to give it back. So like starting off, that was what I wanted to do. Like those are the wrestlers I like. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna try to be like them. And just like before we got on, I was talking about how my voice is kind of hoarse because I just come out and I'm just screaming. My favorite thing
Hmm.
to do is whatever city we're in. My first thing is Calvin Coco is in fill in the blank city, and it's just at the top of my lungs. And even places when it's my first time, they could just be like, "Oh, this guy is ready," and
Hmm.
then they get ready with me. So I don't know. I guess I'm kind of surprised, but that was the goal for sure.
Yeah.
Cause like that's just the kind of wrestlers that I like coming up. Like, the guys and girls that made the fans feel like they're a part of the show because they are. We need them literally and figuratively. So like out the gate, I try to get them on the ride.
Yeah, that's one thing I could tell at least about a lot of that roster, babyface or heels. You can tell how much you guys legitimately appreciate the fans because the best part when it's not wrestling is the intermission. Everybody is out there taking pictures, and you recently won the belt. I know you said you wanted to get a picture of my daughter, but she was going around meeting all the people. That legitimately, honestly, it does warm my heart a little bit seeing how much you guys legitimately care about the fans, especially the kids. And that's one thing, because you could always tell, like, a lot of times when people are kind of faking it, you know what I mean, keeping that image, and a lot of it, especially you, we can tell it's legitimate. And that's one thing I wanted to personally express, gratitude to you, because the main thing is, making sure everybody has a good time, but you don't want to disappoint a little kid. And I want to personally thank you for like all the interactions you've had with my daughter and just making her night.
Oh, of course. Hey man, it's natural. It's easy. She's great. So like, she's not like there are a few mean kids. I've seen a few, and I'm just like, but they're usually just mean trying to have fun. So they're not really mean, but
Yeah.
And it's funny because like my parents are teachers, my sister's an educator. When I first went to college, I wanted to be a teacher, and I had
Mm-hmm.
a bad summer camp experience.
Mm-hmm.
A kid choked me, and I was like,
Yeah.
this is crazy. So then
Yeah.
I went back to school, switched my major, and gave up all hopes and dreams for like being a teacher. But like I've always kind of like kids. Kids are cool. And I remember being a kid and like looking up to athletes and wrestlers, and like you never know what an interaction could mean to somebody, like for that
Mm-hmm.
day or for their life. So
Yeah.
like I don't think of it that deep all the time, but looking back, it's like, hey, could have made somebody's day, and that could have been great. Or it could be something that sticks with them for the rest of their life, and they can grow up to be a wrestler or something else. But they look back to the time they had watching us flip around in underwear, like, hey, So that's a cool part of the experience for sure.
Yeah. I did a little bit of research. You grew up, born and raised St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah, never left. I hate leaving. I love. I got a Yankee hat on only because I like Jay-Z, but
Mhm.
St. Louis born and raised.
Growing up, what got you into pro wrestling? Like as a kid, who did you follow? What were the type of matches you were really into? What
Uh,
drove, what brought your attention to the screen? Like every time so and so is on, okay, sit down, watch at least a commercial break type of thing. Who were your guys and girls?
Well, initially it was the video games. My cousin
Okay.
TJ, we lived in a four-family flat, and my cousin TJ lived two doors down, and he had WWF No Mercy on the Nintendo 64.
Yep.
So we would go over there and play with him, not really knowing what wrestling was, but we liked this cool video game, and we would go over every day. And he was
Hmm.
like 16. He didn't want to be playing the game with two 8-year-old boys. Like he loved us, but it was like he's
Right.
16. He had stuff to do. So one day he's just like, hey man, y'all could just take the game over to y'all house. Y'all can play it whenever. So me and my brother would play it nonstop.
Yeah.
And then one day I'm flipping channels and I just come across the intro of Monday Night Raw, and it happened to be the Raw after Edge cashed in on John Cena in the Elimination Chamber. So it was
Okay.
like a big deal that recapping what happened, and I'm enthralled. I see these people fighting. I see Vince McMahon, the cash in. There's blood. I'm like, this is crazy. So then
Hmm.
Raw starts, and it happened to be the very same Raw that Edge and Lita had the first live sex celebration. So
Hmm.
as a 9-year-old boy, of course, I'm hooked for the rest of my life.
Exactly.
So yeah, and I just Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, I remember Chris Masters, Shelton Benjamin. That was like '06. So that
Hmm.
Raw '06 era, and I've been hooked ever since. But of that crop, Shawn Michaels was the first guy where I was like, that's my guy. I don't know what it was. I think it was just the way he would look like he would just get beat to death, fire up,
Hmm.
come back, switch your music, go home, and then limp out. Like, man, what a guy.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I really liked about him too. His comebacks were amazing, and then what he's really good with the selling and everything like that. Once the he gets his victory, once that bell hits, the adrenaline's off, and you can see how he's worn and stuff like that. And that's always good to see when people stick to the art of selling. You know what I mean? I want to give a shout out. Patrick's here. He's Calvin. He's saying he's loving your cap.
Oh, is he a Yankees fan? I'm sorry about the loss, but maybe.
One thing I want to say is before we get to wrestling, actually, when I was looking on, we've been talking to a lot of friends on Facebook and Instagram. Before you were into wrestling, you were actually into bodybuilding. Were you
Oh
doing
yeah.
that on a professional level or amateur, or how was that?
Well, so I competed in 3 shows. I did one in 2019. What was it? Two? Yeah, 20. I think I only did two. I can't
Okay.
remember because it was a while ago. But I
Hmm.
did first show, got fourth place. It was like, all right, decent. But then I locked in, did another show in 2021, had a new coach, had a whole new mindset. Went into the show, felt like I was in a good shape. And the Saturday before the show, I went to play basketball because I played basketball recreationally.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the only time this ever happens, I get hurt playing basketball. I go for a layup, and for some reason, this guy decides to push me out the air. And I was like, let's pick up basketball. I catch my fall with my hand. I break my wrist. Now, it
Mm-hmm.
was like
Oh.
a fracture, a hairline fracture. It was broken, though. Some doctor told me surgery, another doctor told me just a cast. But either way, it's 7 days before my show, so I'm freaking out. I was crying for days. So I'm like, I've been prepping for a year for this. I was just upset. And my coach was like, how bad's the pain? I was like, I don't know. So like we did a posing session and I was like, there was really only one pose where it was like excruciating. So
Mm-hmm.
he's like, hey man, you weren't gonna lift this week anyway. Let's go for it. And I was like, okay. So I felt confident, but I was really nervous because I was just in a
Mm-hmm.
weird physical position. Just did my thing and ended up winning the show, best
Nice.
poser for the show, qualified to be a pro for OCB. OCB is a natural organization. It's a little bit smaller because basically there's no money in bodybuilding unless you're on the juice, just to be honest. But I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to go down that path.
Right.
But so I qualified as a pro bodybuilder, but I never did compete because I had to heal my broken wrist.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt really cool after the show. The whole time during the show, I didn't wear my cast or anything. Did the show, won, put my medals on, carrying all the gifts and the trophies and stuff. And then I'm shaking everybody's hand backstage. They're like, dude, you did great, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, thanks, guys. And I put my cast on as I'm shaking hands. And they're like, dude, what's going on? I was like, yeah, I broke my wrist last week. And they're like, dude, you beat us with a broken wrist. So that's my Kurt Angle moment. I walked out saying, yeah, I went pro with a broken freaking wrist. And I got a really cool picture with my sword, my arm in a sling and a cast, and 2 medals, cheese and ear to ear. So it was a great accomplishment for me. I was just impressed with myself to just pull through with a broken wrist. It wasn't that bad,
Mm-hmm.
but it was, I'm just glad I didn't give up because it was 7 days before. It would have been crazy.
Yeah. Patrick does say he was a lifelong Yankees fan, and he does say that's badass doing that with a broken wrist. So good for you. Good for you winning too.
Yeah.
Um, how did you get interested in that? Were you, because you said you were you playing basketball in school? Was it just you picked up the weights one day? Were you kind of a picked on kid and wanted to put on the muscle? How was the
Uh,
foray into that decided?
Well, with basketball, the one thing that was holding me back when I was playing in college was I was a smaller guy.
Mm-hmm.
And like I figured, all right, I need to go bulk up. And in college, I became friends with this guy named Fred, one of my best friends to this day. And he
Mm-hmm.
played football, so he's always in the weight room. One day he's like, dude, come lift with me. I was like, all
Mm-hmm.
right. And ever since then, I was just enamored with weightlifting. And
Mm-hmm.
eventually I found out about bodybuilding from just being on YouTube, looking at workouts. And I found Kai Green and Jay Cutler. And then I watched Generation Iron and, stuff like that. And I was like, this is pretty cool. But in the back of my mind, I always was thinking Triple H used to bodybuild, Lex Luger used to bodybuild, John
Yeah.
Cena used to bodybuild, Batista did some bodybuilding. So I was like, all right, if I ever did want to pull the trigger and wrestle, I don't have to, but I would like to be
Yeah.
strong, big built wrestler. I
Yeah.
didn't really have plans to wrestle, but that was kind of one of the back of my head things. Like, oh, if I ever grew some balls and got in the ring, like jacked. But I really enjoy bodybuilding. I can't wait to get back on stage, but I wanted to kind
Okay.
of grasp on wrestling before I look to compete again. But I pose all the time still. It's just I compare it a lot to wrestling. And I think that's one reason I was able to transition so well because I'm not afraid of anything. I'm used to being on stage in my underwear in front of people. It's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
something I've done before. So that part was never an issue. And a lot of the footwork and the technique and reps apply to the ring as well. So
Mm-hmm.
just having that discipline and experience in bodybuilding really has applied to wrestling in some things.
Well, that's one good thing about wrestling is as long as, because you said if you want to go back to bodybuilding, if as long as you stay healthy, man, you can take some time off to do another competition, always come back. So that's one good thing, especially since this is you're just starting out. We do have someone in the chat named TJ. He said he played basketball against you in high school as he was a freshman. Do you remember how fast you were?
You know what? That's a lie. But I know TJ. We played
Okay.
together in college, but I was fast in high school. I was
Hmm.
very fast in high school. I was faster in college, but I'm glad he didn't say anything about my broken jumper, which is not broken. He just thinks it's broken. But last time we played, it was not broken.
Hmm.
I bet he won't bring that up, but that's okay. That's
It's
okay.
all a matter of opinion, right?
Exactly. It's art, and art is subjective. So
That's right. Well, here's one thing. You said you were used to being on stage, posing in your underwear in front of people. You weren't nervous and stuff like that. But it's a big difference when you go from bodybuilding to professional wrestling. That's a big jump, at least in my opinion. I mean, who am I to say? I don't. I'm not involved in either sport. But how? Because you said Triple H was a wrestler, Lex Luger, and you said you kind of wanted to dip your feet in it. How did you actually make that jump? Did you go to a school? Did you find a trainer specifically, or did someone come to you be like, "Hey, your body looks great, and maybe you can get into professional wrestling"?
well, that's crazy because you kind of answered the question in a two-parter because it is a
Okay.
two-parter. So it was 2022. So back in 2022, me and my brother went to our first independent show here in St. Louis.
Okay.
And, like I just remember seeing, I mean, it was great wrestlers there. Like Minoru Suzuki was there, um, Ethan Page was there,
Mm-hmm.
Jake something was there. So it was like some really good wrestlers there. But then
Okay.
there were some wrestlers, and I just remember looking up and I'm like, dude, I can do that. And I've seen WWE shows, of course, I've never thought that.
Mm-hmm.
But watching these independent wrestlers, I was like, one, I look better than them. Not like that's a big deal all the time, but
Right.
that's in my head. And I'm like, I look better than them, and I can do that. And then at this show, they were advertising a tryout camp at a local school here. So
Okay.
that running in my head, and then I reached out to I have a really good friend from college named Keith Smith Jr. He wrestles here in St. Louis. His dad's like a St. Louis wrestling legend. Keith's a great wrestler himself, but he's been wrestling for years.
Mm-hmm.
And I reached out to him, and we used to work out together. And he would always tell me like, "Dude, you need to get into wrestling. You need to give it a shot." And I'm like, I'm a bodybuilder, bro. I'm good.
Yeah.
But eventually I was like, after watching this indie show, I was like, dude, I need to hit Keith up and see if just see what he says. So I hit him up and he was like, dude, I've been waiting for this text. Come to this address at this time. He goes, what is your shoe size? I got boots for you. And I was like, all right, dude. Okay. So I went to a local school here, Dynamo Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Very good school. Very, very good school. They produce a lot of good local talent here. Um, and I would train there for like 2 months. I
Mm-hmm.
caught some things well, but there were other things that I couldn't catch on at all. Couldn't learn how to do a drop kick. I remember the
Mm-hmm.
last Tuesday I went, I couldn't learn how to do drop kick at all.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I did, I either landed wrong or I didn't get high enough, and it messed me up. I was at a weird place mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next day, I woke up early before work to go to the gym, and I was doing squats,
Mm-hmm.
and I threw my back out, and then I threw, mom, my mom down the stairs. I told her I was doing an interview.
It's all good, dude. We'll do it live, like we always say.
She went back upstairs.
It's
But
fine, dude.
so I was doing squats, and honest to God's truth, there was a very pretty girl in the rack next to me, and I was trying to impress her. So I
Of
threw some
course.
weight on there, and I went down, and it's early in the morning. I didn't really stretch, and I threw my back out. Like I was in bed for the next 3 days. So I missed the next training session.
Mm-hmm.
I owed them dues, so I used that as an excuse to mix the next training session, and I just stopped going cold
Yeah.
turkey. Just stopped going. In my head, I just felt like I couldn't be a wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
Mentally, I wasn't in a good place. So I just gave the
Yeah.
gym up like altogether. I was like, I'm just not cut for this. So
Yeah.
that happened, and then I'm just still weightlifting, doing my thing, chilling. Fast forward, maybe like summer 2023.
Okay.
No, not 2023, maybe fall 2022. So later that year, I'm in the gym, same gym I go to all the time. I'm chilling, doing my thing, and this guy walks over and he asks for a spot. And I was like, sure, dude. So he's incline bench pressing. He's
Mm-hmm.
got 150s, which is crazy. He just picks him up like nothing, does about 8, 10 reps. Didn't really need a spot. I'm just there to make sure he doesn't die, I guess. But he's
Right.
cranking him out. Puts him down. He's like, whew. And he goes, man, I probably could have did more, but my elbow's been messed up. Been wrestling for 20 years. I was like, wrestling for 20 years. I was like, where do you wrestle? I didn't know if he was gonna say amateur. I didn't know what he was gonna say.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, New Japan, Ring of Honor, TNA. And I was like, hold on, man. Like, I'm a WWE guy, but I
Right.
know these other places. I watch
Mm-hmm.
Impact here and there. I was not really big in Ring of Honor and New Japan, but I knew of them. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay, who are you? And then he gets up, and it was like a movie scene. He takes his hood off, and it's this bald white guy, and I knew who it was. It was Michael Elgin. I was
Okay.
like, oh my God, I know who you are. Me and my brother just watched you wrestle Kenny Omega. Like, what are you doing here? And he's like, blah, blah, blah. Thanks for the spot. And I was like, yeah, dude, whatever. So like we became gym bros and we would
Mm-hmm.
chat every once in a while. And then once he found out I used to train for wrestling, we would talk about wrestling and stuff. But we would just chat in the gym for months, see each other all the time now that we knew who we were. And then one day, because I was also personal training at the time, so I had to train E with me, and we're walking out, and
Mm-hmm.
he walks up to me with his wife, and it was so funny. And I'm like, you didn't need to bring your wife, but he walks up to me, he's like, hey man, this is gonna sound weird, but I want you to bring my wife just so you wouldn't think it's super weird. I was like, all right, what are you gonna say? So he's like, I know you used to train. I see you posing all the time. You have a great body. Clearly, you're dedicated. You used to bodybuild. If you ever wanted to try to wrestle again, let me know. I
Mm-hmm.
got you. And I was like, all right, dude, I appreciate that. That's really kind of you, but I'll think about it.
Yeah.
Was not going to take him up on it at all. Literally walked out, forgot about it. So I would still see him in the gym. He never brought it up or like pressed the issue. We would just talk about wrestling, how you doing, how's the fam, whatever, whatever. And then Mania in LA, so 39.
Mm-hmm.
That Saturday, I was just in a real weird mental place. I was feeling sad. I literally laid on the floor all day and just cried. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
really why. It was just a weird place.
Right.
And my brother texted me. He's like, hey, Mania tonight, right? I was like, yeah, dude. So got up, watched Mania with him. It was great. Had a great time. Did the same thing Sunday. Laid in bed and just cried all day. Just, I don't know. Brother texted me. He's like, hey, I'm on my way. Watch Mania. And it was like, to me, wrestling has always been like, it's always my favorite thing. Even on a good
Mm-hmm.
day, it's the thing I look forward to. On a bad day, it's the thing I really look
Mm-hmm.
forward to. So like that Mania with my brother watching wrestling, kicking back, having a great time was the bright spot on those bad days.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I kind of had an epiphany Monday at the gym. I'm sitting in the car and I said a little prayer. I said, God, if I see this bald white man in the gym, I'm gonna take him up on the offer. That's literally what I said. I said it out loud.
Yeah.
It was a weird thing. So I walk in the gym. And the way the gym is set up, you walk in, you sign in. If you look over, you see the cardio, and then you
Mm-hmm.
see the gym. I look over, he's the first person I see. And I was like, oh no. And he didn't see me. So I walk out the gym and I get in the car acting like I forgot something.
Of course.
I sit in the car for like 5 minutes and I'm like, dude, just go in the gym. So
Mm-hmm.
I go in, headphones in, and I walk past him. Like I can't hear him.
Yeah.
Cause I'm
Slick.
really trying
Okay.
to avoid this inevitable. And as
Uh-huh.
I'm walking, he goes, shoot name, I'm not gonna say it. He goes,
Mm-hmm.
Calvin. And like he actually said my name. Other people I met at the gym, they don't remember my name per se. So he remembers my name. He's saying it. And he's saying it so loud to the point where I'm like, I can't keep walking and ignoring.
Right. Right.
So I take the headphone out, did the whole, oh, hey, what's up, man? And he's like, hey, did you watch
Yeah.
Mania?
I didn't see you here. Funny meeting you. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the big bald white guy yelling at the top of his lungs. I'm
Yeah.
like, my shoot name is very specific. It
Mm-hmm.
has to be me. So I was like, hey, what's up? And he's like, did you watch Mania this week? And I was like, of course. So I go on the treadmill next to him. We're talking about Mania for about 10 minutes. And I was like, hey, remember when you brought up that thing about the training? You still, and he's like, yeah, dude, of course. I was like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna give it a shot. And he's like, all right, let's exchange numbers. That next weekend, so that happened Monday. Friday, we got in the car and went to Detroit to train at House of Truth with Truth Martini.
Mm-hmm.
Produced a bunch of talent all over the world. And then ever since then, we would train basically every other weekend. We would go to either Indianapolis to train or Detroit and train Friday, Saturday, Sunday, come home. And then in September, I went to Indianapolis thinking we were going to train, but there was a
Mm-hmm.
show Friday and Elgin was wrestling on it. So I'm hanging out with the guys that I've met as I'm training, getting ready to watch them wrestle. And I look at the
Mm-hmm.
card and my name is on there. And I was like, hey, yo, what's going on?
Uh-huh.
And the promoter's like, you got your gear, right? And I was like, I got black shorts. And he's like, perfect. And I was like, all right. So I went out and worked my first match with a guy named Dex Royal, really talented wrestler. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't know who he is, look him up.
Okay.
He incredible. And I trained with him. So like I trusted him, but I was so nervous. like look, and I have footage of the match, looking at that match and looking at me now, night and day. Cause I didn't know what to do. I came out, I didn't know what to do. I literally, you could see it on my face. I was like, I don't know what to do. And it was real crazy. I get on the turnbuckle, and the way this arena is set up is basically 3 sides and then a wall. So I do
Mhm.
one side, do the whole flex. I go to the other side. I'm literally flexing at the wall. I'm looking at the wall and I'm flexing at the wall, like getting the wall height. I
Yeah.
didn't know what I was doing,
Right.
but had a decent match. It was solid. And then after that, I started working regularly for the most part. I still train here and there when I can, but now it's like, you know, we're in the thick of it, I guess.
That's awesome, dude. That's like proof right there that sometimes it is the right place at the right time. You know, you met someone specifically at that specific gym at that time.
Yeah.
And even though, it took a lot of you to finally get out of your comfort zone, you know what I mean? The fact that you did it was cool. And then again, right place at the right time for your first match. Patrick's asking, were you able to do a drop kick by your first match, or was that one of those skills?
Well, back to training with Elgin, what sold me on him, I told him I couldn't learn the drop kick. So the very first weekend we went to train, before we left, he said, we're not leaving until you get this drop kick. And I got the drop kick, and I was like, this MFer got me to learn a drop kick in 1 day, and I
Yeah.
couldn't learn in 2 months. So it was like I knew, like, not only did he know what he was talking about, like he knew what to get out of me to get, like the way,
Hmm.
I don't know, it was just weird. No, and no discredit to the old school I went to, great school, but it was just like you said, right person at the right time. Just the
Hmm.
way he was able to relate and teach it to me, it was like, and I think at the same time, I wasn't in the right place when I was at the training school.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I was gonna ask. Do you think it was like the mental block or the problems you were having then, and then you're just basically thrown into the fire? You know what I mean? So you had to, learn as you go, and you're like, okay, well, you prayed in the car. So you're like, okay, well, I got to put my money where my mouth is. I got to ask the guy. Well, now it's my first match. I gotta learn the basics. It was one of those situations, I guess.
yeah, no, definitely trial by fire. And I think it's like before, and it might sound weird to like my friends always think I'm very confident, but I think it just took a while to actually be confident. And I think before I wasn't really had that
Hmm.
inner confidence, but this whole wrestling journey has brought out a whole new confidence in me, because it's like I used to think I couldn't do this, but now I'm
Right.
doing this and doing things I never imagined and meeting people I never thought I would meet. And it's like it's an unlocked potential, or unlocked, I don't know, just a blockage unlocked. And it's like, wow,
Hmm.
this is, but I'm not like at a place like, oh, I wish I would have did this sooner. It's like you said, right place, right
Yeah.
time. I'm at the right maturity as a man to handle
Hmm.
stress and stuff that comes with it too. So like I'm just very grateful that it all happened the way it did. So
Yeah, one of the things I noticed, in some of your posts, and we don't have to get too into it, with the personal stuff. You suffered from, mental anxiety and depression, and however you want to personally, explain it. How does someone go from suffering from something like that, and then because if no one's actually ever seen Kelvin live and in person, or just because congrats, you're now on IWTV.
oh yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah, for Pro Wrestling Epic. I
Yep.
watched that today. How do you go from someone who was suffering from that type of situation? You can't tell when you're out there. Is it the adrenaline? Is it just like I said, like you said, it's trial by fire. You finally push that block out because the way you act, with the crowd, because you have a great entrance, um, in the ring. I personally, from someone who suffers from anxiety and depression myself, I would never be able to tell that you would be dealing with that because of how animated you are and stuff like that. Is it the adrenaline of the crowd? Like you said, maybe that block is gone.
Yeah. I think the adrenaline helped bring it out,
Hmm.
because now even I feel just even out of the ring, I feel way more confident. But I think it's because of the wrestling. I feel like
Hmm.
it made me really believe in myself more than
Yeah.
anything. It's like seeing people that I don't even know, like people that I haven't talked to since high school, and they just seen little stuff like, hey man, you're doing great, you look amazing. And as a wrestler, we're always critiquing ourselves like, oh, I could
Yeah.
have did this. But people are like, dude, you're killing it, blah blah. And it's like people I don't even know, it's people I talk to every day. So it's like that kind of helped install some more self-confidence. So then when I go out there, I feel it, like Stone Cold said, it's just me turned up to 10. So
Hmm.
that me shoot feels the real confidence. It feels more sure of himself. When I go out there, it's just like turn it up a little bit. So it's a lot more natural, and it's been a progression. Like it's
Yeah.
something I work on, but I
Hmm.
don't think I would be able to come out Calvin Coco with that fire 2 years ago,
Yeah.
just because the person that is Calvin Coco wasn't ready to be that.
Hmm.
Now that I'm, got through those mental hurdles with a lot of help from wrestling and friends and family, of course, but like
Hmm.
being where I am as a man mentally
Yeah.
is why I'm able to go out there and just be crazy and, animated and hyped up and just, I'm having a great time out there. And it's like real genuine. It's weird because
Hmm.
it's like, I feel like I black out, but at the same time,
Yeah.
I'm like on a roller coaster. It's the time of my life. And then I leave and it's like, wow, can't wait to go do that again tomorrow or next weekend.
Yeah. Well, major props on you for dealing with that. One thing that I've come to really enjoy from you while watching on Instagram, because we don't get to see it so much, at least in Windy City yet that I know of, is your promo style. I've seen quite a few promos, and I gotta tell you, I have not seen a Calvin Coco promo and not have a big shit eating grin on my face. And what people don't know, you usually got your hair covered. You're either in your living room or something. You're sitting down. You have a cup of coffee or tea, and you're just speaking very elegantly. And I really love it. It gives me kind of like a William Regal type of. Now I don't want to say better than you vibe, but you're very prim and proper.
Proper, very
And
proper,
what I
very
love
demure, very demure.
there was one wrestler that you were getting ready to go against, and you weren't really trash talking him like saying, "Oh, he's an evil person," blah blah blah. The usual stuff. He was like, "But he's a mean guy, and I don't like him."
Yeah,
So
yeah, I really don't like him. I hate him. I can't stand him.
yeah.
And
That's one thing that I'm glad that because of social media you're able to do, because we get to see more of that from you. Is there a certain um anything you base that off of? Because I know the Calvin Coco who comes out, he's high-fiving the fans, he's jumping up and down, but this is a different Calvin Coco when he's doing the promos. How did that decision, the more regal and type of promo style that you decided to do, was it just something like, hey, this could be fun? Was it something you were working on?
well, yeah, it's kind of as a lifelong fan, of course, you have a bunch of ideas of, oh, I would do this, I would do this, I would do this.
Hmm.
Take inspiration, and a lot of my inspiration, at least for that, recently comes from Tony Storm. I love how she does just, wrestlers were larger than life, we're
Hmm.
characters. And I've always believed that, Calvin Cole was the ultimate character. And just I love in the ring. I'm fast. I'm aggressive. I try to be strong and powerful. But out of the ring, I'm very dainty. I'm very demure.
Yeah.
I'm pretty powerhouse. I'm
Uh-huh.
Calvin Coco. I used to be a model. And
Hmm.
the catwalks were my home. But I just had this aggression that I couldn't let out on the catwalks. And I had an incident, and they kicked me out.
Uh-huh.
So, you know, wrestling is my catwalk, but I'm not a brawler out.
Right.
I'm more of a prince of sorts.
It's
So and my vernacular is extensive, so I
Mhm.
can't use that in the ring.
Right.
So outside the ring, I like to show that I'm just as strong as I am smart. Just
Mhm.
cunning as I am charismatic and stuff like that. So, but a lot of inspiration from Tony Storm. Again, Shawn Michaels. 90s Shawn was a different level of.
Oh god. He
You,
was he was such a self-centered asshole, but the thing is, you loved him for it. Every
you have
time every time he was on the microphone, he was talking about his most favorite thing in the world, which was
himself.
himself.
Yeah, yeah.
And you was just one of those guys that's like, man, because you're a baby face, and that's great. But with him, it's just like, I just can't wait for someone like Calvin just to punch him in his mouth, type of thing.
Yeah. So I like to get close to that line, but at the same time, like coming back to the fans, like I'm the hot one, but we're all hot ones. We're all, hot. We're all in this together. So I don't want to
Hmm.
ever feel like I'm better. It's
Right.
more we are all better.
Hmm.
So can't be too much like 90 Sean because 90 Sean was a dick. But,
Yeah.
just a lot of that, aura that he had and
Uh
just
huh.
the way he moved. I really like watch just study the way he moves about the ring because there was
Mhm.
the charisma about how he bounced about the ring, even before they locked up, just
Mhm.
elusive and just a little bit of the thing I loved. He would always say that sometimes the men hated him, sometimes the men loved him, but the women
Mhm.
loved him,
Yeah.
and never wanted to shy away from the obvious sexuality in wrestling. Yeah, we are. Some shows are family friendly, but there's other shows where it's like especially in 2024
Mhm.
that's a part of why we watch wrestling is beautiful people, strong people, attractive people, of all shapes and sizes, because everybody's attracted to different things.
Right.
So I like to try to play up on that as well, because that's a part of why I like wrestling. So I know
Mhm.
that's part of why some other people do too. So, and I know Sean, one of the greats at that.
Yeah, I always look forward to those because usually for me for Instagram, I'm more of a I like the picture type of thing. But I'm not gonna lie, whenever I see that you've uploaded a video and it's you, if I see you holding like a coffee mug or something, I'm watching that because I know I'm getting a lot of joy and fun out of it, and I can't wait to see more, man. So I wanted to make sure at least I give you props on that because that's the Calvin Coco that I haven't yet been able to see.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully we get more, coffee with Coco in some Windy City, but yeah,
Mhm.
Windy City, we're doing a lot more brawling so
Mhm.
far, but can't wait to get back up there for sure.
Yeah, that's one thing I was gonna bring up. I think I read your debut with Windy City Pro Wrestling was like only your fifth match,
Yeah,
something like that. And you
yeah.
said something. I believe that was the first time that you actually reached out to a promoter yourself.
Or well, I guess the first time I took the booking, they reached out to me, but that was
Okay,
the first time I took a booking without my trainer.
okay,
Like all
and
those matches before, I took them with Elgin, and we just traveled together and stuff.
was that just one of those situations? Again, you just gotta jump headfirst into it type of thing, get out of your comfort zone and just do it.
Oh yeah, like early on, before I even started wrestling, like shows and stuff, I told myself I was like, hey, any opportunity I have to take it.
Hmm.
Like recently when I was given the opportunity to train with Natty and TJ down in the dungeon in Florida, it was just like
Yeah.
it was a weird thing. My best friend from college, Fred, the guy who got me in the gym, he goes to the same barbershop as TJ. And
Hmm.
eventually he mustered up the energy to be like, hey, I need to tell this guy about my friend Calvin. He's been wrestling. Just, who knows what could happen. And then they chatted up. We got in an Instagram group message. He watched one of my matches. He's like, bro, great, great stuff, blah, blah, blah. If you're ever in town, we would love to have you at the dungeon. I
Hmm.
bought a plane ticket that next day. I was like, hey, I'll be there next week.
Nice.
No, I got the opportunity to train with Natty and TJ, which was that did wonders for my confidence in the ring as well. Cause it was just
Hmm.
like I was surrounded with other very talented indie wrestlers, way more experienced than me, but I was fitting right in, and I was learning so much. And I got another chance to go back down in September/October and got to train twice with them. And it was another great opportunity. Got to talk to Ashante Adonis, and he gave me some incredible advice that I'm gonna take with me for the rest of my career. But all of that came about from just taking an opportunity. So the same thing with Windy City, they reached out and I was like, yeah, man, I'll be there. I had the open day and it was only a 4 hour drive for me from St. Louis. So it made sense. And I'm glad I did because every Windy City was, I would say, the first company that took a chance on me, I guess. And
Hmm.
all the opportunities I've had there, the locker room energy, the experience has just been great. Done wonders for my career so far.
Yeah, like I said earlier, you have honestly one of the most popular entrances. The kids love you. The adults are coming around and loving you too. You are one of their, in my opinion, most popular. I'm not saying that just because you're on the show type of thing. You really are. You're one of the most popular wrestlers on the roster, and you're one that obviously me and my daughter always look forward to. One thing I really liked is lately you've been teaming with Ritas Atlas. And had you worked with him before this team came about, in Windy City? Because you guys actually have really, really good chemistry. Or were you just like, hey, tonight we're just gonna throw you guys together and we're gonna see how it works type of thing?
Well, back at the Big Bill tournament,
Mm-hmm.
the national order that came out, the numbers game, and Reed
Mm-hmm.
came out and saved me. And we knew each other in the back, and we've had conversations. But him coming out there and helping a brother out, I was like, maybe I need to get to know this brother a little bit more. And we
Mm-hmm.
started chatting up, have a lot in common, especially with the gym. It's something about the gym. If
Yeah.
anybody gym bro, you're just automatically bros for life, really. You know,
Mm-hmm.
there's always something in common. And it's real easy, at least to me, to find friendships in wrestling because clearly we're all a little off to be wrestlers. So there's just a
Right.
connection of just like, you're a little weird, I'm a little weird. So we're going to get each other's weird jokes.
Yeah.
So that always makes it easy icebreakers and just get to know each other. And then we showed up one day and they're like, hey, you guys are going to tag tonight. And we were very excited just because
Mm-hmm.
we knew that we had similar styles, similar looks, but at the same time, we were different. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we kind of had a good feeling that it would work out well. We weren't really planning on it, but it was just kind of like a happy accident. And then now we're tag champions and we're pretty good friends. Like we talk all the time now. We're at the point where we're sending each other Instagram reels all the time.
Yeah.
I'm bad at sending them back because, you know, I try not to be on my phone that much. I'm kind of a post and get offer,
Right.
but I'd be missing the reel. So I usually go in and check in and see four and then see four and then see four more. And I'm like, all right, I just missed 12. Let me at least acknowledge 10 of them. So, but I love Regis. He's a great guy. And I can't wait to see what we can do next because I think we're pretty lethal together.
I think you're right how you're similar but different because Reedus, and he's like you, he's great with the crowd, but he seems like he's more business, and you are a lot more animated. And I mean this in a good way. You're like a cartoon character. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? You're the one with the glasses, the hair, the outfits, and that's what I think is great because you don't really want to have, at least personality wise, you don't necessarily always want those two partners to be exact doubles. You know what I mean? You want that contrast, and I think you and him are like that perfect contrast where he's in there, he's all business, you're more of like the showman type of thing. But when you're in the ring, when the bell hits, you guys work great. He's like the powerhouse, you're more of the high flyer type of a wrestler, and that's what I can really appreciate. So that's again right place, right time, I think, is what we're thinking about with your career. And one thing I want to bring up is you can't, they always say this like with comic books and stuff like this, a good superhero needs a good villain. And one thing that I've loved with you and Reedus is your feuds with the Natural Order,
Mm-hmm.
James Fury and Roddy
Those
and
guys.
Alexander Moss.
Oh,
What I love, hold on, what I love is they're the great, shit talking heels are better than you, and then lots of times they have to cheat to win, but a
a
lot of
lot,
times they have.
all the time.
Well, it only counts if the referee sees it. You know what I mean?
That's true.
But what I like is a lot of times you guys are giving them their comeuppance, and congrats to you at Stacked in September. You guys won the tag team titles from them. And I will say this again, that's probably the biggest pop of the night. Everyone went nuts. You're a young kid, you started out in bodybuilding, and now you've made it, at least with Windy City Pro Wrestling. They decided, you're worthy of holding their titles. How does it feel from someone who's like very, you're very new to this business, and then someone's taking a chance on you and they're proud of you enough where you're representing their brand? How does that like feel for you? Because you said the confidence is getting there, and then you're finally given that title. How does that feel, man?
It's definitely an honor. It's like, it's adds to the confidence, but it's kind of humbling too. Like, man, I'm just like getting started, but it's definitely an honor. I got emotional, of course, before.
Hmm.
I don't get super emotional now, but it's still,
Yeah.
all the good emotions, of course. But more than anything, it's exciting because anytime I have anything go well now, like not even in a braggadocious way, I'm like, dude, I'm barely a year in. I haven't even had
Right.
50 matches, and to me, it's like I can get so much better. I can learn so much more on how to become a better wrestler and a better performer and a better promoter of myself. And like,
Hmm.
because literally, like last night, I felt like I had a great match, got a great pop, retained my title, had a great time. But watching the match back, the few clips I've seen, I'm already like, got to do that better, got to do
Yeah.
that, to do that better. And it's like not beat myself up like I would before, you know,
Hmm.
or especially with basketball, I'd be like, oh, I'm the worst player
Yeah.
ever. I'm terrible at everything. My team sucks because of me. But now it's like, all right, I did this good. I didn't do this good, but I'm gonna do that better next time. And it's more like
Hmm.
building blocks and like using that same attitude, going into life. So the little bit of success I've had early on has just been, rewarding to the mindset that I've had going into it. Like, all right, if I keep this mindset, more good
Mhm.
happen. So, it's definitely one of those, like, a good chip on the shoulder.
Yeah, I can speak from experience. Any type of anyone who creates content, whether it's a pro wrestler or a podcaster or a YouTuber, we're our own worst critics. You know what I mean? And it is true. I've been doing this for a while. Is instead of going back and rewatching my older videos years ago, I'm like, wow, that really freaking sucked. Why am I still doing this? And now once you get more confident, you're like, okay, I wouldn't say that last one sucked, but I can do this to improve it. That's a great way to still criticize yourself, but not be overly hard.
Hmm.
And that's what I've really noticed. Like I said, your confidence, you can tell in the ring from the first time I saw you for Windy City to this past September. It really is like night and day. A lot of times you've gotten comfortable. The fans now know you because when you first made your debut, and we're a small town. If a crowd doesn't know you, you're not really going to get a huge reaction.
Hmm.
And I don't remember how your initial reaction was, from your very first match. But like I said, now just to see leaps and bounds how you've grown in popularity, it's really cool. And I think it's kind of fun that I've actually been part of that. You know what I mean? Because I haven't missed a show since you've been there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I think Windy City is where I've grown maybe the most.
Hmm.
I've been probably I think most of my shows have been there. I don't know. It might be a tie between them and up in Toledo with CIW, but it was a place where coming in, they were like, hey, we want to see your character. We want to see you express yourself. We want to have fun. It's not about moves and drop kicks and dragon screws and hurricanranas and destroyers.
Hmm.
All the advanced stuff that I don't even know how to do yet. Nor
Right.
I would want to. Like Calvin Coco doesn't need to do a destroyer. He is a destroyer. You know what I mean? So, but it just I don't know. It fit with the type of wrestler I want to be. So it's
Hmm.
easy to grow there because it's just like all the things that I'm trying to make sense there. So we're gonna try, and if it works, it works. If not, try something else. So definitely just the great environment to grow for the type of performer I want to grow to be.
Yeah. Another wrestling federation that I've gotten to know because of you is Pro Wrestling Epic, and you're now their Powerhouse champion.
Oh yeah, hold on. Let me put the. Oh, I got the
Oh yeah, you just happen to have it with you, right?
the pretty Powerhouse belt. Is so beautiful. I'm the first holder of this edition of it. Is it upside down?
Yeah.
Yes, upside down. But isn't it beautiful? Isn't it?
Hmm.
It is, and it's got I don't know if you can tell. We got the crocodile skin on the strap,
Yep.
got the red on the under. It's an absolutely gorgeous belt, and I'm so honored to be the first to hold this version of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I defended it last night and Friday. Swimming.
One thing I want to ask you again, from where you started to now, there's two things I want to mention about Pro Wrestling Epic. Is first off, how does it feel now that because what we do is, we all self promote, and a lot of things that we use is YouTube, and we use like Instagram and stuff like that. Now you're on IWTV, which if people don't know what that is, it's a wrestling app that has hundreds and hundreds of different wrestling federations. A lot of them have live streams, and Pro Wrestling Epic has their library up there. How does it feel now going from that little kid or teenager, however, when you got into wrestling, watching Shawn Michaels, and now you can see yourself on camera whenever you want to, and it's actually it can go worldwide because IWTV is this huge thing. How does that feel for you, seeing going from that little kid watching it to now being that person on television?
Uh, I mean, I guess I haven't really thought about it that deep yet, honestly. Like,
Okay.
I don't know. Like, I mean, it's cool. Like, it was the goal. It was the goal, not to, shame anybody, but the goal was never to wrestle in gyms forever.
Mm-hmm.
I love wrestling in gyms because you can shake every hand in a gym, but the goal is to wrestle worldwide, and IWTV is a great place to start. So, it's definitely, it's exciting. It's exciting, but it's like, all right, that's one goal notched off. Now let's get on a different streaming
Yeah.
service or
Yeah.
something. Oh, maybe one with more. reach or something. I don't know, but
Yeah.
it's definitely cool. And with PWE, that was an indie company I looked at before I even started taking bookings. Like, man, I can't wait to get there. And I kind
Mm-hmm.
of got there, right place, right time. Keith Smith Jr., my friend from college, he had somebody he was supposed to wrestle in March. They canceled last minute. The promoter was like, hey, if you know anybody that you can wrestle because this guy canceled, let me know. And he thought of me right away. He called me on Thursday. He's like, you free Saturday? I was like, yeah, I'll be there. And we had a great match, tore it down. And the promoter was like, hey, man, I want you on more shows this year. And
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 shows later, I'm one of their champions. So it's just taking the opportunity and thankful for a friend giving me the opportunity. But, I didn't think I would be able to represent this company that's been one of the best companies in St. Louis that fast. But
Mm-hmm.
it's an honor for sure because it's a lot of talented guys and girls there. And to be able to be one of the guys is pretty cool.
One thing I wanted to mention, we kind of mentioned it because just last night you actually wrestled in your hometown.
Yes.
How is that? Like, were you extra nervous because it was the hometown, or was it? Would you say maybe more extra excited so you really didn't feel the butterflies type of thing? How is that like in your hometown? You know all of the people in the crowd type of thing. You're performing for friends and family and
Yeah.
everybody. How is that feeling? This earlier in your career, you can perform in your own hometown, because lots of times, when you see these big wrestlers, let's just say, Jeff Jarrett, if he's in his hometown, that's maybe once a year or once every 2 or 3 years. You get to you're performing in front of your crowd like this early,
Yeah.
at this stage in your career. How was that?
Um, Earlier in the day, I was super nervous. Like I woke up super nervous. I couldn't really eat anything. My stomach was feeling weird. And then like as the day went on, the nerves kind of went down. And then showtime is about to start. We're at the curtain. I'm stretching and I'm still nervous.
Mm-hmm.
But my mom hasn't seen me wrestle since January. Just
Okay.
circumstances, and like you said, I don't always wrestle in St. Louis. A lot of times it's maybe 2 hours away or 3 hours away, and sometimes my family can make it, but sometimes it's hard to make it 2 hours to watch 10 minutes, and I understand. But
Yeah.
uh, so I was once I saw her out there, I was like, oh, it'll be all right. I don't know. And then whenever I go out the curtain, it's just like a weird feeling. Like any nerves I have just are gone. Because in
Mm-hmm.
my head, it's like dude, you can't freeze up in front of the people, bro. Like you
Yeah.
can't go out here and just, you know, you got to do something. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
in my head, it's like they're excited to see me. Why should I be nervous? Like they're
Right.
they're excited to see me. They're excited to see a wrestling match. I'm the person that's gonna give it to them. So like it's weird. The nerves usually just shut off as soon as I walk out the curtain. But
Yeah.
last night, the energy definitely was different. It was so weird. Like I went to the turnbuckle, I do my usually my thing and my pose, and I'm looking at my uncle and my mom on this side, and I turn around, I scan, I see my dad, my stepmom, my grandmother, and I'm looking down the row, and I literally said, "Oh my God, that's Megan!" And it was a girl that I went to high school with that I haven't really since high school, and she was at the show, and I was like, hey Megan, like, what are you doing here? And it was just crazy. And then we talked and it was like, wow, like thanks for coming to the show. I haven't seen you in years.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a real time thing. It was like looking around, I was like, oh my gosh, I know her. And then of course I knew other people. And it was cool to get to perform in front of the people that have been supporting me the most.
Mm-hmm.
Of course they can't make every show because they got lives, but they're always watching everything. They're always commenting the most, like, hey, you go get them, Calvin Coco, always texting, how's it doing? My
Mm-hmm.
mom's always, how's your back? So it was cool to let them see it live and in person. And then more than anything, I think it's cool when like other fans are geeking out, and especially
Mm-hmm.
kids, and they're like, oh, Coco, Coco. And my mom and my dad are just watching, like, oh, look at our son. Like, how
Yeah.
cool is that? And like, it's cool. It's cool for them to see that. I like that part because there would be no Calvin Coco without mom and Papa Coco. So it's cool for
Right.
them to be able to see, like, hey, man, our son's doing all right.
That's awesome, dude. I got a couple more questions before I let you go. Um, we'll pull the curtain back a little bit. You got no bookings this weekend, okay? Your body's not hurting from aches and pains. You got the house to yourself. What does Calvin Coco do if he's got like a good 24, 48 hours to relax? What gets you in your zone to relax and chill, man?
This is gonna sound crazy, but I love playing PlayStation.
Yeah.
Man, I'm and like so I love basketball. I
Mm-hmm.
love wrestling more, but basketball is very close. So I'm very much into 2K, even though they say 2K sucks. I don't care. I play my league right now. So I don't know how much you know about 2K or anybody watching, but
Mm-hmm.
basically they have a feature where you can do your dynasty season mode, but you can pick different points in the history of the NBA. So you could start in the Bird Magic era, you could start in the Jordan era in 92, you could start in the
Mm-hmm.
Kobe era in 2002. So I started in the Jordan era when the game came out, like in September. So I started in the Jordan era in 92, and I've been
Mm-hmm.
playing from 92. I'm in 2005 now. So I've been
Okay.
controlling all the teams and playing the games and watching the NBA change. Jordan didn't retire, so he won 8 championships instead of 6. He didn't go play baseball because it's a video game,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. So I love just listening to a podcast, usually a wrestling podcast, and just playing 2K. That's my way to chill. I like watching movies. I'm a big movie buff. I prefer movies over TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
Keep a list every year of like my favorite movie or movies I've seen for the first time. I keep a list and I rank them. I love going to the movie theater, but I love watching movies at home
You
too.
got a specific genre movie that you're into over the others, or?
I guess my favorite would probably be comedy
Okay.
movies, but I like all types of movies. I would say I have favorite actors and directors.
Okay.
So like anything Quentin Tarantino, I'm in. Anything Denzel, Samuel L. Jackson, I'm in. I love Ryan Reynolds and Ryan Gosling. Those are my guys. Emma
Mm-hmm.
Stone movies, great. Angela Bassett, anything great. Halle Berry, anything great. So, I got favorites that I'll follow no matter what. Anything The Rock, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Great. He's great at every movie, every role, even though it's the same role every time. It's great.
And hey, you know what? You do with what brought you do with what brought you to the game.
Exactly. The
It's
classics
like this.
always work.
Here's the thing about The Rock. A lot of people say he plays the same character. Well, I grew up in the '80s, and it's not like Arnold Schwarzenegger did anything different. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Back
or
then,
Sylvester Stallone
yeah,
or Tom
they threw
Cruise.
they threw punches, they swung a sword, and they blew up buildings. That's the same thing they did every time. I think The
Yeah,
Rock's allowed a little leeway. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. I can't wait for his Christmas movie coming out. Red One. It's him and Chris
That
Evans.
looks like it's gonna be a lot of fun.
And yeah, I think it'll be decent. So, and I love
Hmm.
a Christmas movie. That might be my actual favorite genre, Christmas movies.
Okay.
I love the warm fuzzy feeling you get from watching a wholesome Christmas movie.
Yeah. One last question. Then this is a question I ask every single guest. Um, what would Calvin Coco's final meal on this world be? And now here's the thing. I've had guests go from like they've had full course from appetizer, yada yada yada. Or I've had Madman Pondo on. He said he'd just be happy with Stouffer stuffing and a Dr. Pepper. You know what I mean? What is Calvin Coco's, final comfort meal? No limitations.
All right, well, I'll probably do it. I don't think I would need an appetizer, but I would have a dessert.
Okay.
So the main course, it would be Emo's Pizza. You might not know about Emo's Pizza. It's
Mm-mm.
St. Louis local delicacy. It's our
Okay.
thin crust Provel cheese pizza. Some people think it's cardboard. It's not. It's just very thin, and it's the toppings, it's the cheese, it's the sauce. So
Mm-hmm.
I would get an extra large pepperoni, sausage, bacon, Emo's Pizza. Smash that, kill it. It's
Yeah.
gone. Then I would need a strawberry Fanta from like Rallies, like from the fountain, not the bottle,
Mm-hmm.
with some ice, a large. I'll need that. And then to wash it all down, I'll need some candy. What kind? I don't know. If it's the last meal, I don't know. It's hard to pick one because I love candy. I got
Uh-huh.
4 bags upstairs that I'm gonna eat, but it would be a gummy candy, maybe like Lifesavers
Okay.
ones, or the Snapple Swedish Fish. It's a new candy, but it's one of my faves. I love it so much I had to stop buying it because I ate them too much. But I love gummy candy. It's my kryptonite. But
Nice.
it would be the way I go out for sure.
Well, Calvin, this has been a blast. I've kept you for an hour. As of this recording, in case you're listening to the audio, this is November 3rd. Do you have any upcoming bookings you want to throw out there and promote in case somebody hears this before then?
Well, I got Saturday with PWE. I'll be defending my championship in Beaufort, Missouri. I don't really know how to pronounce it. I'm sorry, people of Beaufort, but it's about an hour out from St. Louis, so it's kind of local. So hopefully I'll have some local Cocoa Puffs there, and then I'll be in Toledo Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
the 10th. I don't know what I'm doing yet, but that's with CIW, and then Yeah, I'm kind of chilling for the rest of November with the holidays and stuff. But
Right.
yeah, can't wait for 2025. I tell you that much. It's gonna be, I don't know. 2024 was something for sure, but 2025, I have a really good feeling about how things are gonna go in the Coco verse. So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll I'm sure we'll catch up again soon, and you know,
Keep that confidence going, dude. One more thing. Do you any social media you want to throw out? I will have Calvin's social media in the description below, but if you want to throw it out for the audio, anything you want to share, where to find
yeah,
you at?
real easy. It's at the Calvin Coco on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, or X. I guess it's X now. But
We
yeah,
all call it Twitter, dude. It's
yeah,
all
and
good.
it's Twitter, especially because Elon Musk has been acting real weird lately. I don't know. I probably shouldn't have said that. This interview might not go up. It's
Oh, it's going up.
no.
It, this is no. He doesn't own YouTube. Don't worry.
Okay, okay. I was gonna say I would have to pull up to his front door. I probably shouldn't say that, but what?
Hey, that's okay. Um, Seriously, man, thank you for taking an hour out of your time. Much love to you.
No doubt, man.
Give your mom our best for her little cameo. We
Yeah, man,
appreciate that.
I don't know if you can hear it, but she on the phone real loud and she couldn't close the door. I'm like, girl, like, what are you doing?
Hey, like I said, we do it live.
Yeah,
Um, Thanks to everybody in the chat. Again, thanks to Calvin. I will have all of his social media links down below after this is uploaded. Um, you're a great dude, man. Just in and
likewise,
out of the ring. I
likewise.
appreciate it, and I can't wait to see you here in Sycamore again next year. I know it's going to happen.
It's gonna be maybe sooner. I don't know, but whenever the time comes, we'll be ready to defend our goal, and I can't wait to get back up there and see everybody. And
Hmm.
yeah, it's gonna be a blast. I already know.
Yeah, it always is, man. So with that, thank you for everything, Kelvin. This is the modern man, Kelvin Coco. Check him out, and you will be seeing him soon. And I guarantee you, uh, give it some time. I guarantee you, he's gonna make it on AEW or WWE, TNA. You'll be there, dude.
Not look, I don't want to be that guy, but not AEW. I'm not going there.
Okay. Well, you will see him sometime in the future anywhere but AEW. How
Yeah,
about that?
I don't even want to be that guy starting beef, but I don't even want to put that in the universe because I would rather not. But that's a different conversation. That's a different.
That'll be for interview part 2. How about that?
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead and start a beef with AEW. Yeah, I'm here for it.
Oh, I have no problem starting internet beefs. But with that, again, man, I've said it before. I've said it 100 times. Thank you for spending the time here and shooting the shit. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. Appreciate you, brother.
Yep. And with that, this is the awkward moment where I hit end stream and we sit here awkwardly for like 10 seconds. But take care, everybody in the chat. And thanks again, Kelvin. I appreciate it.
No, thank you.